LinkedIn reach is down, engagement is down, follower growth is also down. And if you've noticed your LinkedIn posts performing worse than they did 6 months ago, you are not imagining it. LinkedIn replaced its entire algorithm in February 2026, and most enterprise sales professionals have no idea it happened. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what changed, why the old LinkedIn playbook no longer works, and the 7 tactics I'm using right now to generate more qualified pipeline from LinkedIn than ever before. I hope you enjoy watching. Hey guys, it's Christian here with a LinkedIn algorithm update. It is March 4th, 2026, and LinkedIn just launched their new 360 Brew algorithm in February. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what changed, why it matters to your LinkedIn strategy, and 7 tactics that you can start using right now. So let's get started. So first of all, you might have noticed that LinkedIn performance has been declining. And this is data that we've seen from February 2025 through September 2025. And we have seen this trend across thousands of posts. Reach, so overall impressions and views of posts, are down about 47%. The engagement on content, so likes and comments and reposts, is down 39%, and follower growth has slowed down by over 40%. And this does not mean that LinkedIn is dying. It just means that the rules are changing and that we all have to adapt if we want to stay successful with our social selling activities. Now, what exactly is 360 Brew? So fundamentally, what changed on LinkedIn is that there's now one algorithm that makes all the decisions. So LinkedIn actually replaced all the previously separate algorithms with one single unified model. And this model does 3 things. Number 1, it reads your profile and your posts together, and it makes a judgment call whether what you're saying in your posts and what you have to say on your LinkedIn profile page actually matches in order for you to be relevant. Because if there's a mismatch, your content is definitely not going to do as well as it could. Number 2, the new 360 Brew algorithm rewards expertise and clarity. So it is no longer a valid growth strategy to post very frequently, 5 to 7 times a day, or even 5 to 7 times a week, or even multiple times a week, or to use hashtags. So posting frequency as well as the use of hashtags is no longer relevant. And number 3, your entire posting history now actually shapes how far each post travels. So LinkedIn no longer looks at every single post separately from the rest. It actually judges your entire content history. Now, that being said, the old LinkedIn rules are dead. So let me clarify. So when I started posting on LinkedIn 6 years ago, it was a very good growth strategy to post every single day. LinkedIn rewarded consistency. That is no longer the case. With Brew 360, it really comes down to the quality of your posts, right? So you can post 3 to 4 times a week. Even if you only have time to post once a week, if that one post is of really, really strong quality and relevance to your audience, that's going to make you more successful on LinkedIn than posting 5 to 7 times a week mediocre content. Secondly, with the old LinkedIn algorithm, it was very important to get fast engagement, which is why LinkedIn pods became a thing, right? You post something on LinkedIn, you send it to your community of 10, 20, 50, 100 other people. Everybody liked and commented their stuff, and that was like a really strong strategy to grow. And that's why we've seen, certain pyramid schemes on LinkedIn where you have creators who launched their own communities where everybody wanted to be a creator, and essentially they just liked and commented on the posts of their boss, whoever the founder of that community was, and it helped them grow really fast. This is now different. So LinkedIn no longer rewards fast engagement. It actually rewards saves and reposts. So when your target audience, when they save your posts because they want to go back to them later, right? Or if they send your posts to somebody in their network, those are now the strongest driver of success for your content. So the key takeaway here is you want to write content that's worth bookmarking, highly technical stuff, but also it should be so valuable that people are willing to send it to somebody else in their network. And now last but not least, it used to be a really good growth strategy to use a bunch of hashtags, and that is no longer the case. Hashtags are pretty much meaningless now on LinkedIn. They don't really matter anymore. What's more important is the keywords that you use in your content. So it's almost like search engine optimization. You want to use keywords that signal to your target audience that you're talking about your subject matter expertise, which is going to be valuable for them. All right, so let me walk you through the tactics that you should employ in order to follow Brew 360 and make your content more successful. So tactic number one is choose a content lane and stay in it. So what that means is, as explained earlier, 360 Brew builds a topical fingerprint of your posting history. So I'll give you an example, right? So my branding, my content positioning is all around LinkedIn and social selling. So I speak about content optimization, I speak about video prospecting, I speak about thought leadership. What I try to avoid is speaking about different topics. So I'm not necessarily speaking about negotiation. I'm not necessarily speaking so much about how to run a sales team successfully or sales leadership, right? Those would be different topics. I'm really trying to stay in my content lane. So the tactical key takeaway here is post around 2 to 3 core themes. In my case, LinkedIn outbound and sales efficiency. Whenever you post something that's strongly off topic, the LinkedIn algorithm will interpret that as you're being unfocused, right? So your reach might eventually suffer. And then third, 80% of your posts should live inside of that lane. So what I always tell people is think about what kind of topics, what kind of content will be the most valuable for your ideal buyer persona, and then stay disciplined. Stay loyal to that topic, to that theme. Tactic number 2, open with strength every single time. So I'm sure you've heard this before. The first 3 lines of your LinkedIn post are the most important. It's also called the hook. So hook writing is an art and a science, but essentially the first 3 lines of your LinkedIn post will determine about 80% of success or failure. So the 360 Brew algorithm, it makes a distribution decision based on those first 2 lines. So a weak opener would be, I've been thinking about LinkedIn lately. A much stronger opener would be, your LinkedIn profile is costing you meetings. Here's why. So this is maybe not the best example. I could show you other examples, but I think the key takeaway is those first 3 lines, they tell the reader what's in it for them before they have to click see more to see the full post. So you want to make sure that you really hook them with a value promise in the first 3 lines of your post. Tactic number 3, write for saves and reposts, not for likes. So as I mentioned earlier, saves and reposts are now the strongest drivers of visibility, far more than likes and comments. And here's the thing, when people save your posts, it means that this is reference quality type of content. So you want to make sure that you put as much value in the form of frameworks, checklists, or data inside of your post. You really want to back up your claims as much as you can. Reposts are typically a sign that people think that you said something that they were already thinking, right? So if you express the views and beliefs of your target audience, your ideal buyers, and they strongly agree with that, in fact, they agree with it so much that they think it falls back positively on them to reshare your post. So you always want to make sure that you write content that is repost worthy. And then lastly, the data tells us that if your posts get more than 10 saves, it can sometimes circulate for days, right? So if you really embrace this approach, to write tactical frameworks that people want to save and repost. That's going to be the biggest driver of your content success going forward. Tactic number 4, as mentioned earlier, hashtags are no longer a thing. So drop the hashtags, focus instead on keywords. 360 Brew, it reads your posts like natural language. So you want to make sure that you write posts that are naturally keyword rich. So in my posts, I will always say LinkedIn, I will say social selling, I will say things like personal branding. It's almost like search engine optimization for your content. So yeah, it gives examples here like LinkedIn outbound or pipeline generation. These are keywords that signal to your audience that you're writing about a certain topic that they care about. And the algorithm will then match the language in your posts to the right people in the feed, your ideal buyer personas. Tactic number 5, post less, but post better, right? If anything, to me, this is a sign of relief. Like after 6 years of having to come up with new post ideas almost every single day, if anything, I can now tone down my frequency a little bit and I can put more effort into the quality of my posts. So 3 to 4 strong posts per week will always beat 3 to 4 strong posts per week will always beat 7 average ones. And templated repetitive content will also trigger a reach penalty, right? So if you always write the same template of posts, the content will not do as good. And then lastly, spend more time writing really good stuff, right? It's worth spending 2 hours sometimes on one great post rather than 20 minutes on 3 forgettable ones. Tactic number 6, engage like a thought leader. So 360 Brew actually also tracks your engagement, not just your posts. So if you leave thoughtful comments, right, within your network, ideally under creators that you admire, or ideally under your ideal buyers, your ideal prospects, 360 Brew will also track that. And sometimes a strong comment, a comment that adds value to the post of the original author, a strong comment can get more impressions than the post itself, right? So I've seen examples where the post got 20,000 impressions, but the comment, the first or the most viral comment under that post actually got 21,000 impressions, right? So commenting, leaving really, really good comments is a very good strategy to gain more visibility, and it does not always require you writing your own posts. So tactical tip here, spend 15 minutes every single day to write 5 really high quality comments in your target audience niche. And then lastly, tip number 7, this one is super important. You have to fix your LinkedIn profile page before your next post. So a weak profile will actually suppress your content reach. And as I mentioned in the beginning, Brew 360 compares what you say in your LinkedIn profile to what you say in your posts. So it's important that in your LinkedIn profile headline, you say who you help and how you help them, the outcome that you deliver for your ideal buyer personas. And then in your about section, so that section where you can write a small paragraph or a small essay about, what you have to offer and your services and all of that, that should reinforce the same message that you have in your headline. So your profile, your LinkedIn profile page, and your LinkedIn content, they must tell the same story or your reach will suffer. All right, so as a key takeaway here, right? So what is the core principle for LinkedIn and social selling success going forward? Activity is dead, authority wins. So the 3 key takeaways are the people who treat LinkedIn like a slot machine, right? Post after post after post after post, just for the sake of consistency, they will fall behind. But the people who will treat it as a long-term asset that will compound over time, those are the ones that are going to win. So systems, discipline, and repetition are the key that separate the top 1% from the rest. So next steps for you after watching this video, pick one tactic and implement it before your next post. So don't try to do all of the 7 tactics at once, pick one and stick to it. So for example, start with your headline, right? Optimize your LinkedIn profile page. If you haven't done that in the last 6 months, might be worth reviewing that today. Fix your opening line on your posts, right? Study how do the best creators on LinkedIn Write effective hooks. There's an art and a science to it. And then third, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter. I give weekly tips on LinkedIn and social selling. I will provide the link under this video as well. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.